Shtick Podcast, the podcast where comics are my shtick. This is episode 31 of the podcast, and I am talking comics. I'm talking some movie announcements. I'm talking The Marvels and Gen V, among other things that I have listed all on my phone right here. But before we get started, of course, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Smokey'sVideos for early access to videos when available, exclusive content on there, audio commentaries, videos on movies and my discussions of them, early access, access, I should say, to my serialized releases of my comic books, The Custodians, Agents of Cross, and Destructo Boy, issues 1 through 5, and just cool art and stuff that's on there that I'm going to be posting. So check that out. Also check out my Etsy shop, blaketwild.etsy.com, to pick up all 5 issues of Destructo Boy, the physical copies. Each purchase of a comic comes with a free sketch of any character of your choosing. The Custodians is currently sold out. The first print run is done, so I'm going to have to be setting up that second print run in the near future. So keep an eye on that. But for the meantime, check out patreon.com/Smokey'sVideos and read up on some comics. Let's get right into things with some fairly depressing news. That is the untimely and unfortunate death of Matthew Perry. That was a huge shock to me, and an even bigger shock to my wife, who absolutely is obsessed with the television show Friends. Matthew Perry, I think everyone can agree, was without a doubt the best part of Friends. Stole every scene he was in. Just a terrific actor, and from the sounds of it, an all-around great guy. He's also one of the best video game villains, that being his role as Benny from the 2011 game Fallout New Vegas. I also learned that he absolutely loved the Fallout games, and that makes me admire him even more, which it makes it such a shame that he's gone now. Speaking of death, Jesus Christ, Marvel Zombies, Black, White, and Red #1. I spoke about this about 2 episodes ago, where I was like, did that ever come out yet? Are they doing something with this already, or what's going on with Marvel Zombies? I completely forgot that I ever ordered this fucking comic, because it showed up in the mail about a week or 2 ago, or probably a little longer than that. I don't fucking remember. But it's okay. It's the Black, White, and Red, which seems to be Marvel's new big thing, is like, I guess, anthologies, because they did it with Moon Knight, and I think it's also an anthology book. I didn't read that one. But Marvel Zombies is definitely a anthology book. It's 3 short stories. One is by Garth Ennis. The other 2 are by people that I don't remember. The Ennis story is good. I enjoyed it the most, I think, out of all 3 of them. It is set in a universe where, the zombie apocalypse has happened, but there's more human survivors. It's not the Marvel zombie apocalypse, because the zombies aren't that intelligent as it seems, although there's still some kind of intelligence going on there. It's this underground fight ring where these human survivors of this Mad Max-esque civilization have captured Daredevil zombie Daredevil, and are using him in this underground fighting ring, and he's like, oh, he's the people's champ. And so they fucking take him and they lock him up in his cage, and then Punisher shows up for some reason, and Punisher is illustrated purely in the form of a white silhouette. You never actually see what he looks like. Is this set in the Garth Ennis Punisher Max universe? Who's to say? Possibly. It could be, I guess. What if this is one of the later events of that version of Punisher's life? The version of Punisher that Garth always goes back to whenever he comes back to Marvel to write something. But he shows up and he's like, hey, I know you can still kind of understand me. You want to get back at these motherfuckers that are imprisoning you and doing this and that. And there's like little snippets that show that the zombies have some form of intelligence. There's like Matt Murdock when he's alone, or the zombie is like eating human hands and shit. He's like, I can't remember what he remembers exactly, but there's like little caption boxes that illustrate that he was has some kind of semblance of memory. But Punisher goes and fucking like jury rigs up this fucking suicide vest of C4 onto Matt Murdock, and none of the fucking idiots working at this fight ring realize that, he has a bunch of stuff shoved under his suit. They're just like, they must have overfed him last night or something. And then he goes to the fighting ring, and Punisher blows them all up. And that's it. That's how it ends. The second story is a Spider-Man story. The art is interesting. It wasn't my favorite, but it was neat. It's a neat little story. It's meh is how I feel about it. It takes place during the outbreak, the downfall of humanity, where Spider-Man, I was about to say Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Spider-Man is at the Daily Bugle offices, and everybody's there, and he's trying to protect them as the building is getting just filled up with zombies who are racing up to attack him. And Spidey's like, hey, all right, everybody fucking run up to the roof. I'm going to call the Avengers, and stay here, I guess, and hold off the zombies. So he does that, and he fights the zombies, and then Aunt May shows up for some reason. And Aunt May's a zombie. And Peter's like, she's like, what did you do with Peter, you illicit Spider-Man? Because, this is like the version of Aunt May that hates Spider-Man. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? I didn't like this one. I didn't like the characterization of the zombies. I didn't like that the non-superhuman zombies have this identity. It's never stated in the original Marvel zombies whether or not if a normal human could be turned into a zombie, if they like kept their memories like the other zombies do. I guess always assumed that it was primarily because they're superhumans that they have this like ability to keep who they were. But now that I think about it, it's more the fact that the superhero zombies just have such a high sustenance or such a high fucking hunger that they just eat people before they can have the chance to turn into zombies. So who knows? Maybe this would be what happened. I'll have to ask Robert Kirkman next time I see him. Next time we hang out as buddies. Anyway, Aunt May shows up. Peter's like, oh my gosh, it's Aunt May. And he fights him a little bit, and then it cuts away to J. Jonah Jameson, who comes back downstairs, and he's like, Spider-Man, are you okay? It's like, Jonah has a change of heart. And then Spidey, with his mask off, he's like, he turns slowly back to the camera, or back to Jonah. He's like, Jonah, run, that kind of shit. And it's, Spider-Man became a zombie, oh no. Yeah. I feel like what I thought was going to happen is that it was going to be like some kind of fake memory that Spider-Man had. Like, it would be like, it's Spider-Man being courageous and heroic and fending off the humans from zombies and making sure that they get away safely. And then Aunt May shows up. That's weird, huh? I wonder what that's about. And then the story snaps to reality and the present, and it's actually just this fake memory that Peter Parker created as he's a zombie, like in the present, just munching on a fucking ham hock of a human, or something along those lines. Like, it wasn't a flashback or anything like that, and I don't know, like a single tear rolls down his decrepit, crusty face or something. I don't know, something else is where I thought it was going, not just, he just got turned into a zombie. And the final one is my least favorite. It's a Moon Knight story. And it also sets up Moon Knight versus Iron Man. Where is this coming from? Because last episode, I think, I talked about that fucking Marvel event that they have coming up, where they're like, oh, this is going to behold the future of the Marvel Universe, and it's about Power Man and fucking, who's also Moon Knight or Iron Man in the future, fighting one another or something. And it's like, why? What is the Moon Knight Iron Man build-up that Marvel's doing right now? What is that about? Because this... it's Moon Knight, post-apocalypse, zombies are around, they're superheroes, they have superpowers. They're still normal people, Moon Knight's still doing his bullshit, and he gets attacked, and he gets bitten, and Khonshu's like, hey, I can solve that issue if you just give yourself over to me. And so Moon Knight's like, fine, Khonshu, fucking whatever, just have my soul, whatever it is you want to do. Just make sure I don't become a full zombie or something. Because he's still a zombie at the end. But I guess he's Moon Knight with red eyes now, so he's okay. But what is with this Moon Knight Iron Man thing? What's with the Moon Knight versus somebody? What's that about? What's the deal with that? That's the only comic I really read that's contemporary, I suppose. I've been reading a lot of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen issues that I bought at the last 2 comic conventions I went to. Just finished those. And I've been reading some old 80s Justice League. But I doubt anyone wants to hear about that. Moving on. DC shrinks classics for new Compact Comics. Compact Comics! It's all you could want in a smaller package, so you're gonna have to squint really hard to see. It's like Watchmen and probably like Crisis on Infinite Earths or something. It's digest size. So, you know, I don't know if people outside of America have this same thing, but if you go to a store, or at least if you did within the past 10, 15 years, up at the cash register, you'd see like little digest size Archie comics. Like this, that I just went and grabbed. This is seemingly what Compact Comics are going to be from DC, except a whole lot thicker, because does it say how many pages this is? No. These are all fairly short stories. It's Archie. Ooh, hey, look, the real Ghostbusters action figures from Diamond Select. It's a neat idea. I do like it. I like the idea of it. I'm like Balin's skull from Ahsoka. I like the idea of it rather than the execution or whatever it is he says. But where are these gonna go? Are they just gonna... Is Barnes & Noble gonna carry them? Didn't they get rid of the guy who gets them comics or something a couple years ago? Are these just gonna go directly to comic stores? Are they gonna try and get these into the fucking checkouts of Walmart? Of other stores? Because if not, what's the point of this? If you're fucking making digest-sized books, and you're still sending them to the same place that anybody can get the regular-sized book, then what's the point? Why? I'll admit it's a neat idea. I've had the thought of doing some sort of digest size. You know what it is? It's that manga is this size. I'll be right back. In my hand, I have 4 issues. Tankobon, is that what these are called? Little booklets of My Hero Macadamia. These are my wife's. I would never dare read manga that isn't... Oh, why didn't I just grab this one? I'll be right back again. This is what I should have grabbed, because it's actually a good story. This is Ashita no Joe. This is my copy. I bought the whole, 20 books from Japan for a lot of money. This is Compact Comics. This is what they want to do, seemingly. Is it how cheap is the paper going to be? That's another good question to have regarding DC's Compact Comics, because they sure haven't shown any actual photos to my knowledge. So is it going to be this same almost newspaper quality? Black and white? I doubt they're going to do black and white, because then that's kind of just the Marvel Essentials, kind of, which was a great idea. Why don't they just do that? Why don't they just fucking remake Marvel Essentials, but for DC? Just do something along those lines. Because, like, Archie, you know, it's still fairly cheap paper, but it looks good. I'd hope that's the same for DC, but who knows? What is their plan here? Are they doing this? Are they doing this? Do they know what they're doing? Who is to say? I guess we'll find out. Like I said, I like the idea, and I've toyed around with the idea of releasing Destructo Boy in a manga-size format digest booklet. I might do that. Just collect all 5 issues and release it in this fat little chubby book. Call it Destructo Boy, The Adventure Continues. That was a heavy thud. But I don't know. If it's something neat, if it's like an interesting story that I like, I might just buy it for the novelty value. Is it a novelty thing? That's fucked up if it is. Because that ruins, like, why? If it's the novelty of it, oh, look, you can get Watchmen, but it's tiny. Like, what? Why? Why? It's gotta be... Think. Manga's big. People like anime. Manga is small. Comics are big. What if we make comics small? Then comics will sell. And people will stop saying that comics are dying. That's 100% just what went through whoever's idea it was to come up with compact comics. I wonder how long that came up to an idea. Compact comics. Ooh, they have a giant whiteboard of various fucking words. Various synonyms for small. They're like, okay, we already got the comics. What's a synonym for small that also starts with a C? Anyway, Paddington 3 has been announced. And I'm so fucking excited. I love the Paddington films. It's insane that it's been like 10 years since the first one came out. Paddington in Peru is set to release January 17th, 2024. So I know what I'm doing for my birthday. Amazon Prime Fallout, the Fallout show that I'm very excited for. Like I said at the beginning of the show, fuck. I just realized that Matthew Perry has missed out on the Fallout show. That is horribly depressing. The Fallout show is coming out April 12th, 2024. Star Wars Dark Forces has a release date of February 28th, 2024. Although I own them, I have never seen I've never played the Dark Forces video games. Video games? Is it multiple? But I hear good things. Something I am very excited for, though, video game-wise, is Tintin Reporter, or Tintin the Reporter, Cigars of the Pharaoh, which is a Tintin video game that actually looks pretty good. Coming out, when is that? November 7th, 2023. So, Tintin, the new Hellboy game, the Spider-Man games, what is it, the Black Panther, and I think there's an Iron Man game coming out. It's looking like a good couple years for for comic book related video games. But that's all the video game related hoo-ha out of the way, because Gen V has been announced officially for Season 2. And I will, I guess, go into that later. I don't know why I still brought it up at this point, because I'm not talking about Gen V yet. But Gen V officially has Season 2. I'm sure everybody knows about it. What I'm not sure everybody knows about is a bunch of movies that are being delayed or announced. Such as Mean Girls 2024, the musical. It's based off of the Broadway musical, also created by Tina Fey. The film stars Tina Fey and Angourie Rice? Angourie? I don't know how you pronounce her name. She's the little blonde girl from the MCU Spider-Man movies that played Betty Brant, even though she looked exactly like Gwen Stacy. She was also Ryan Gosling's daughter in The Nice Guys. She's awesome. I love her. She is a great actor. So I am really looking forward to seeing her in this. The Mean Girls trailer looked awesome. I loved it. I've heard bad things about the play or the musical, so I've never actually gone out of my way to find a recording of it to actually watch, like I have for another however many other musicals I've seen. That way, I have a whole episode from from like a year and a half ago, where I talk about my favorite musicals based off of other properties, so go check that out if you're interested. But the Mean Girls musical, it looks really fun. The cast looks fun. I think John Hamm's in it, and he plays this, schlubby sports coach. I never checked if it was John Hamm. I was just like, is that John Hamm? But yeah, it looks quite fun. What doesn't look quite fun is that there's a bunch of Rebel Moon announcements. Rebel Moon, aka Star Wars But They Say Fuck, from it's the new series from Zack Snyder. It has been announced that it is one in the same universe as Army of the Dead. It is going to be a two-parter, I think. And 3, the Star Wars But They Say Fuck universe is expanding beyond the screen with a prequel comic series. The first issue of Star Wars But They Say Fuck, House of the Blood Axe, will be published by Titan Comics on January 10th, 2024, and available wherever comics are sold. They are really fucking going all in on this Rebel Moon thing, aren't they? They're doing what they said they were going to do for Army of the Dead with Rebel Moon. Does that mean that those robot zombies and the aliens in Army of the Dead are going to come into play or be referenced at all? I highly doubt it. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 has been delayed a year and is now going to be in theaters May 23rd, 2025. I haven't seen the first one. Which, yeah, it came out, right? So I don't care. I've only seen the first Mission Impossible, which I watched for my now defunct Tom Cruise related podcast, The Cruising Altitude, which you can still view all on YouTube. And the most recent one, not the most recent one, the one with Henry Cavill in it. Those are the only 2 Mission Impossibles I've seen. So here we go. Here's some Marvel stuff for anybody interested. All episodes of Marvel Studios' Echo are going to be released for streaming on January 10th on Disney Plus and Hulu if you're outside of America. You just have to set your Disney Plus profile to TVMA to stream. Now, I'll circle back around to that, because Marvel Spotlight was announced, and that is a new MCU label, read as movie version of an imprint, that will focus on bringing more grounded, character-driven stories to the screen with street-level stakes over larger MCU continuity, which sounds a lot like the Netflix idea, and is also seemingly what Echo is going to be the first of. I don't know if they're going to announce and outright say that Echo is part of Marvel Spotlight. I feel like they might retroactively do it if they don't do it already. But this whole Marvel Spotlight thing, it seems to imply that it's going to be focusing on the TVMA side of stuff. It's going to be, or even, I don't want to say the special presentations, because I have a hope in my heart that the MCU special presentations are still going to be a thing. It might just, it's more grounded, character-driven stories with street-level stakes. So it's going to be, it's essentially Marvel Knights from the sound of it. It's the early 2000s Marvel Knights imprint, but for the MCU, which again is kind of just what Netflix did. But that is cool. That also makes me wonder if they're going to tie the Daredevil show, what is it, Daredevil Born Again, into that. Is that going to be a Marvel Spotlight? Or is Marvel Spotlight going to be more focused on, like, more one-offs, I suppose? Limited series is. Like, if WandaVision came out now, would that... Well, I guess it wouldn't be a Marvel Spotlight, since that doesn't make sense. I guess you can't really put any of the already released Disney Plus shows into Marvel Spotlight based on its description. But the Spotlight projects will feature a musical fanfare intro from Michael Giacchino. He's the guy who did The Werewolf by Night, which was awesome. And I still haven't watched the color version. I completely forgot about that. But that's neat. I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to see more of what they're doing in regards to the lower-level Marvel stuff. Because if there's one thing people love to complain about, it's that Marvel is too high stakes now. There's too much going on. There's too much continuity you need. It's everything people complained about the Ultimate Universe. It's everything people complained about the regular Marvel Universe, and still complain about the regular Marvel Universe. Tangent. That's my favorite thing. Is that so here's the it's like a fish eating a it's like a big well it's like a fish eating a fish eating a fish. So here you have the Marvel Comics history that started in the 60s. 40s if you want to be pedantic and include timely. You got that. Everybody said, this is too much continuity, I don't know where to start. Munch. It gets eaten by Ultimate Comics. Ultimate Comics were created in the early 2000s because everybody was like, oh my god, how are we going to get new readers? We need to make a new universe where everybody can just jump in on the ground floor. There's no continuity or anything. It's just new stories in modern day. And that's the fish that's swimming right here. And then that went on for 15 years, and they're like, oh my god, where do I start? There's so many years of continuity. And then Munch, that gets eaten by a bigger fish, which is the MCU. And now the MCU has become that same fish. Which is now leading into probably whatever's going to happen after Secret Wars and the multiverse is destroyed and then brought back to life in a nice rebooted package. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, however, is going to be in theaters May 24th, 2024. I just saw the trailer the other day when I saw the Marvels. The apes can talk now, and they have little civilizations. So I think I'm going to start watching these movies. I haven't seen any of the that new Planet of the Apes trilogy that everybody raves about, the one that started with James Franco dying of a horrible disease or whatever happens. I've only seen the very original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. So that is my whole premise. I know what pretty much happens in the new ones. I get it for cultural osmosis and all that. But now that the apes can talk, I think I'm gonna start watching. Please Don't Destroy has their own movie coming out in just a couple days from the time of recording on November 17th, 2023. Please Don't Destroy is a trio comedy writing group who is on SNL. They're pretty much the modern-day version of the old SNL digitally released sketches that Andy Samberg and his buddies did. The Lonely Island guys, I think they all worked on those. And they are quite humorous. I really enjoy them, so I'm excited to see their film, because they do some good stuff. And now moving back into Marvel-related stuff and comic book movies. Dario Scartapane, I guess. He did something with The Punisher. I wish I made a better note. Let me look this up, who the fuck this guy is. What did he do? He is set to be the showrunner for Daredevil Born Again. Was he the showrunner for The Punisher? Is that what I was trying to get across in my notes? He was the producer of The Punisher. And nothing else I recognize. He was the writer for Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, the Amazon show, I think, and The Punisher. And nothing else I recognize. And he also acted in a film from 1995 and 1993. Not the same film, two different films. He is set to be the showrunner of Daredevil Born Again with Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who I guess worked on Loki Season 2, according to these very limited notes that I gave myself, are set to direct some of the episodes or something. So cool. I have gone on the record by saying that I did not care at all for the Punisher television show from Netflix. But its tone seemed interesting, so I guess he can get that across for Daredevil. Even though the Daredevil that we've seen in the MCU now has evolved as a person from where he was in 2015 to 2018 when his show was taking place. So I hope they don't revert him back to where he was then. I want to see Daredevil that's fairly happy. I know Daredevil usually isn't happy, but I'd like to see him fairly happy. I'm still hoping that they base a fair amount of stuff off of the Aquaman 2 has been delayed until December 22nd, 2023. I don't know when it was originally supposed to come out. I guess sometime in November, maybe. That's fine. Didn't the first one come out around December? Cool. Who cares? It's probably going to perform averagely at the box office. Superman Legacy, however, is set to release all the way in July 11th, 2025. I say all the way in July 2025, but it's going to get here before we know it. I am super excited for that. That's probably, no pun intended, the one that I'm looking forward to the most, I think, on here. Deadpool 3 is now July 26th, 2024. Captain America 4, New World Order, is that what it's called? Is February 14th, 2025. Weird place to put it, February. Just that, I've said it before, I'll say it again. COVID really fucked up releases of movies. Because before COVID, anything coming out in January, February or so, just shit. Bad movies, for the most part. But everything changed after COVID. And after the strikes, I suppose, now. You can add that on top. Thunderbolts, July 25th, 2025. And Blade, if it ever gets made, is November 7th, 2025. By the time Blade comes out, Mahershala Ali is going to be the same age that Wesley Snipes is now. So yeah, that's the thing that everybody's talking about with this, is that there's only one Marvel film at all coming out next year. Deadpool 3. We're getting some shows. We're getting... what is it? What If? End of this year? Early next year? Getting Echo. Early next year. Probably going to be getting one or two of the Star Wars shows, because those finished early this year. The Acolyte and Skeleton Crew. Is there any other Marvel shows that they've, like, finished that's coming out? I don't think so. I think it might just be Echo. Here's some news that doesn't really have anything to do with anything. Andrew Garfield has been announced as Dr. Frankenstein, Oscar Isaac is the monster, and Mia Goth is the bride. I think that was one of the combinations of guesses that I made when I discussed Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie, but that's cool to get some confirmation that I may or may not have been correct. Speaking of horror, They Follow, the long-awaited sequel to modern horror classic It Follows, has been announced. David Robert Mitchell, the guy who did It Follows, is coming back to make another one called They Follow. So I guess the virus or whatever that thing is, it's 5 people following you now, except for one. Raise the stakes. Still never seen it. At least I don't think I have. Have I? I honestly do not know. Again, it's one of those things that I'm very well aware of through cultural osmosis, but I have no recollection if I've actually seen it. I can picture a lot of scenes in my head, but I don't know if those were from reviews I watched of people talking about the movie. Ghostbusters Frozen Kingdom trailer was released. There's some crazy fear-inducing ice ghost or something that's appeared. It looks like the Casket of Ancient Winters episode from Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. So that's fun. It looks really good. I loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. I am looking forward to this. Paul Rudd's back. Finn Wolfhard. McKenna Grace. The other two aren't there. They left, those children. It makes sense because those... What, are they going to kidnap those kids to bring them with them to go fight ghosts in New York? No. Those kids aren't related to the other ones. Paul Rudd, he's there. He's a stepdad or something. Who else was in it? Patton Oswalt and Kumail Nanjiani are in this. And Kumail Nanjiani kind of looks like a normal person again after his weird HGH jawline that he was getting after the Eternals. But that's cool. I like all those people. They're all great actors. And Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Ernie Hudson, they're all back. You know, cool. Neat setting. Bunch of crazy ice. I like that they're getting weird with it. I like that it's not just, oh my god, ghosts again. It's, what the fuck is this? Why are there ice spikes shooting out of the ground? What the fuck is this? What is going on? Is sort of the whole premise of this trailer, rather than the classic, ooh, spooky ghosts are trying to come over to the world of the living. Looks great. The just cornerstone of entertainment news has been Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. The basic premise is that Wile E. Coyote of Looney Tunes fame is suing the Acme Corporation for faulty products or something along those lines. It tested incredibly well with test audiences. It's been described as a modern-day Who Framed Roger Rabbit in terms of like effects, practical effects, and everything like that. And, of course, Warner Brothers Discovery decided to just, oh, money! We can slap that in the trash and get some money back! Why? Imagine, if you will, you own one of, if not the most famous cadre of cartoons there is. Possibly more well-known than any of the Disney characters. Name a Disney character: Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Goofy, the girl versions of them. Name Looney Tunes, you can fucking go all day. People are sexually attracted to at least one of them. You don't hear that about fucking Minnie Mouse. Imagine you own Looney Tunes. And then also imagine this, if you will, if that's not too much. You also own the spiritual successor, if you will, to the most famous, well-regarded, and highly rated cartoon animated superhero show there has ever been. And now that you have both of these gems in your hand, drop them. Because you don't want anything to do with that. Imagine Looney Tunes, Batman the Animated Series sequel kind of show. I don't want anything to do with that. I'd rather have reality television, says David Zaslav as he leans back in his chair and it creaks a little bit because he looks like a giant thumb. Just utter insanity. They already fucking canned Scoob, which I wasn't a fan of the first one, but that's still fucked up. You shouldn't do that. They already canned Batgirl. There's another one, I think. But in a surprising turn of events, after just immense public outcry, Warner Brothers executives will now allow the filmmakers of Coyote vs. Acme, a $70 million live-action CGI hybrid Looney Tunes film, to shop the movie around to other potential distributors. It's probably going to be Amazon. They already got the Batman show. Amazon's just fucking sitting there. It's like they going up to the fucking Warner Brothers Discovery house on Halloween. It's like, trick or treat, give me something good to eat, because your dumbass isn't going to eat all this delicious chocolate, but I am. God almighty, it's ridiculous. But thank God it's coming out, because I really wanted to see it. It has John Cena. It has a bunch of cartoons in the real world. What more could you want? Gen V. Great. Loved it. I enjoy it more than The Boys, actually, to speak the truth. I just really liked it. I enjoyed the setting. I enjoyed the characters. Clancy Brown is in it. How can you not love something that has Clancy fucking Brown in it and his just awesome voice and just demeanor that just constantly looks tired and just sick of what he's doing, but he's seemingly not. He loves what he does. He's Mr. Krabs. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's because it's these new characters, and it's fucking anything could happen to them. So, like, there's the shock. It's been 3 seasons of The Boys, and we know that they're not going to kill the boys yet. We know that the Homelander's not going to die. It keeps getting prolonged and prolonged, blah, blah, blah. But with this one, there was at least the idea that any of these characters could die. I'm going to spoil this whole fucking thing, so I'm about to rock your world if you haven't watched it. The ending of Homelander showing up to the riot and then lasering them, and then immediately it cuts to the news footage saying that, oh my god, they are all dead, blah, 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 like they attacked the school. I was like, holy fuck. They went hard on this ending. God damn. They just murdered off all 4 of these characters off screen at once. And then, of course, it's revealed that they're in some sort of underground bunker, which may or may not be like, I don't know, it's Vought Prime, or it's like some sort of sub-faction within Vought who want to fuck over Homelander, because, like, one of them has like a smoothie and the other has a cell phone. But yeah, I really enjoyed Gen V. I wish it came at a time earlier in the boys' like universe story, because I really like the whole aspect of fucked up X-Men or something. And you just don't see any of that. You don't see fucked up superhuman university college life. We only see, what, 2 of their classes that they teach? 2 classes out of the whole fucking series. It's just all this mystery. And I wanted to see more of, like, I guess the behind the scenes aspect of it. Of like, oh my god, this is like, you know, the life of a superhuman student. I wish it had delved more in that before diving full into the Woods storyline. That's kind of a issue that I had with Miss Marvel as well, that I wanted it to focus more on the life of the superhero before it gets into the events that the superhero takes place in. But yeah, I really loved it. I thought it was an excellent show. I'm very excited for season 2. All the characters were fantastic. Kate especially, what's her name, Maddie Phillips. I have a huge crush on her now, thanks to the show, and I think it's primarily due to the fact that she looks a lot like Emma Roberts, who I've had a crush on for many years. She's fucking awesome. She is such an overpowered character, and such a threatening character, too. Because I feel like they should have played up more of the fact that once they realize that she's against them, they should have played up the fact that, like, okay, how do I know I'm really doing this? You know, like, how do I know this is what I want to do? How do I know this is what has already happened? Like, how do I know that Kate hasn't affected me in some way? Andre was a really cool character. We don't really see much of what he doesn't really do much, honestly, in terms of, like, power-wise, I guess. Who else? The Jordans, both very attractive people. One of them is named London Thor, and that is just an awesome name. Emma? Is that Cricket's name? The little cricket? The one who can change size? She's awesome. She's probably the best part of the show. That's a great actress, Lizzie Broadway. Really liked her. Marie Moreau. Great name to begin with. Great character name. Cool powers. I did not see the Victoria Newman tie-in coming, so that was neat. But yeah, it's just great cast, fun storyline. Really like Sam. That was neat to see. It's going to be interesting to see how Vought rewrites history to make him a hero, I guess. Like, oh, well, he has the same last name as Golden Boy. Why haven't we heard about him? What's going on there? Maybe Kate has something to do with it. It's going to be interesting to see where Kate goes, because as we all know, Homelander hates cripples. So maybe they'll regrow her arm in some form or fashion, or she'll take a more behind-the-scenes... That sounds like mailman's here. Take a more behind-the-scenes sort of run at it. But... The Boys universe. We know that Season 2 of Gen V is coming. Here's what I think is going to be happening with The Boys. Based on where the storyline is at, and where the world of The Boys is currently at, it is at the precipice of change. And the Gen V, obviously, is leading directly into the events of The Boys Season 4, which is coming out 2024. It is going to lead into that. And The Boys Season 4 is going to be the turning point of the conflict that the past 3 seasons, 3.5 in a way if you count Gen V, have been building towards. Butcher has a death wish. He has a timed life. He's going to die. Homelander getting more and more reckless. He's also wants to fucking rule everything. They're gonna, fucking clash and come against each other at odds. Victoria Newman gets more and more powerful as the day goes on. Where I think The Boys is going is that season 4, if not halfway through, then at the end of it, Victoria Newman and whatever the other guy, her running mate's name is, they're going to be elected president and vice president. In the comics, that happens, and Newman and Homelander begin conspiring on pretty much ruling the country, for lack of better words, which is pretty much exactly what happens in the comics. They go after the country to try and rule it for themselves. So I believe that's how season 4 of The Boys is going to end. It's going to be some kind of cliffhanger where Homelander is like, I don't know, at the Oval Office, or he fucking walks up the stairs of the Lincoln Memorial, and it's at night and he's all alone, or he's with his son, and they both fucking laser beam fucking Abraham Lincoln's head, and they're like, this is our... And then they turn around and, I don't know, it's either you see the reflecting pool and the Washington Monument, and it's all fine or something. He's like, oh, this is going to be our world to rule, son. Or there's like a superhuman riot happening, and they're just fucking up the country. If they want to go that far, if they don't want to save sort of Homelander's really turn to dictatorship until the last season, which I believe is going to be season 5. Gen V season 2 is the beginning of Act 3 for the entire Boys storyline. It's going to follow whatever happens in season 4, obviously, and lead into season 5, which again I believe is going to be the final season. That just makes sense from a storytelling standpoint of where we are right now. If it's not the last season, season 5, then they're just going to be wringing it out as far as they can. It's going to be like a big piece of taffy that they're just... But season 5, I think, is going to be the grand finale of The Boys. It feels just like the perfect spot to do it. Homelander takes over. He starts just fucking killing people. All the boys show up. Butcher goes crazy. He kills the other boys, except for Huey. Butcher kills Homelander. Huey and Butcher have an almost Winter Soldier-esque fight above Washington, D.C., which is what happens in the comics. And Huey has to murder Butcher. And then it's just Huey and Starlight are left. And that's the end. And then The Boys is done. We'll probably get some sort of prequel series set far before this. Early 2000s or so. Maybe The Boys... what's that? The show... The Boys, the real life. The real world version of The Boys. Where it's the real world, but it's superheroes. Something like that. I don't know. But that is what I think is going to be happening. It's going to be Gen V, Season 4 of The Boys, turning of the conflict, and the entrance into the third act. Gen V Season 2 is the first half of the third act. The Boys Season 5 is the last half of the third act. And I'm super excited for it. I cannot wait. And on to the final topic of today's episode, The Marvels! The movie that everybody wants to hate and seems to hate for some reason. And I don't know why. I had expectations that were, this movie looks like a lot of fun. I like the actors that are in it. I don't know what the story is. And I loved it. I thought it was awesome. It's a fun ride. It's a weird movie. It's so weird in certain aspects of it. There's a lot of weird shit going on, which I loved. And I feel like people are going to use as a reason to complain about it. Even though a big complaint against the MCU is that it's been too vanilla. I guess they're not taking enough, why is it just normal this and that, blah, blah. They aren't doing enough crazy stuff. This movie has Nick Fury running around with like fucking alien cats that are eating up his crew. What a more perfect Nick Fury thing to do than to have aliens eat your own employees. Oh, man, it was fucking weird. Such a Nick Fury thing. I loved the reveal that Hala, the Kree homeworld, has just been utterly fucked for the past 30-something years, which kind of explains why I guess we haven't seen it since then. It's just been ruined. There's been some sort of civil war happening for whatever reason. They don't really go into detail why, but that was neat. I just like that. I like the villain. I thought she was cool. She looks like Hannah John Kamen, Ghost from Ant-Man 2. She looks like her, but older. I liked her motivation for the most part. She pretty much she hates Carol Danvers, and she wants to ruin her life. What more do you need? Basic. It felt like that might be why I like it so much, I just realized, is because the Marvels feels like a Silver Age comic. It feels like a, maybe Bronze Age, if you want to push it a little further. It feels like a comic from the 60s or 70s, just based on all the crazy stuff that's happening in it. It's a pretty basic premise. The villain has a dying world, and they're going to worlds that the main character loves and has attachments to, and stealing resources from it to help their own world prosper. And along the way, there's weird aliens, there's a musical dance scene, there is just crazy use of powers. This is a Silver Age comic book movie. I can't believe I didn't realize it sooner. That's what's happening. That's why I'm loving this movie. It's because it's so weird. It's like may as well have been written by whoever an artist was, written by Jack Kirby doing all the art, and Stan Lee did some words. Iman Vellani, of course, is the best. I love her so much. She is just awesome. She's perfect as Kamala. She is a great actor. I just love her in this role. She is incredible. She had me laughing the whole time. I was so invested in whatever she was up to. Just great. Nick Fury also had some great one-liners. I really enjoyed his role in this film, especially during the free fall above Kamala's house when Carol just slams into the ground and he's like, "Oh, it's just Carol." That's so fucking funny. I cannot believe that. That's just so fucking funny. I love it so much. Just a lot of fun gags and quick one-liner jokes were in this film. I love, Kamala's family's back. They're awesome. I love them. I just had a great time with this film. And that first fight montage was incredible. The fight montage where they're all it's good lord. Imagine being the stunt coordinator, having to figure out, okay, so we have this fight montage with 3 main characters in it. Easy enough, I guess. But they're also switching places every couple seconds, and they're in 3 entirely different locations. One's in a little pod going through space, one's in a planet, or a spaceship, and the other's in a suburban home. My God, I want the behind-the-scenes footage, and I want to know how they did this. I want to see the product, and I want to see how they did it. I want to see the process of how they just figured out to make this just incredible 3-way fight scene of people who are teleporting between one another. It's just so cool. It was awesome. The music that was playing over it was great. I think that's just one of those standout moments of this film. Speaking of another standout moment, I wonder how excited Iman Vellani was to recite Nick Fury's lines almost verbatim from the first Iron Man movie. That was, I'll admit, I audibly gasped when I saw the silhouette of Kate Bishop's bow go against the door of her house apartment thing. And then Lucky the Pizza Dog is there, and I was like, ah! And then I'm laughing just thinking about it. Iman Vellani just sitting in the shadows, reciting Nick Fury's lines. Fuck, that was good. What a great ending. What a great way to set up the Young Avengers, which they may or may not have time to do. Who's to say? Since they're fucking going straight to Secret Wars right now, within the next 3 or so years. I really hope we get at least a show or at least an appearance of the Young Avengers, because I just want to see that so bad. I want to see the Young Avengers. I want to see America Chavez doing her magic, crazy stuff, Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan. Who the hell else? They could get Iron Lad if they want to recast Kang, but do it younger. Just get somebody, have him be in mask the whole time and just do an actor's voice. The kid from Iron Man 3. I don't fucking know. I love the musical scene. I feel like that's something a lot of people are going to complain about, but I loved it. Because like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, or early on, I love musicals. And why not? Brie Larson can sing. Why not get her to sing a whole little, like, dance sequence where she turns into a Disney princess? But I think I gotta wrap this up. Because it's just gonna be me fawning over how much I enjoyed this film and how much fun I had with it. The ending. Well, the credit sequence. Holy shit. I wish I had it spoiled for me that Monica ends up on like an X-Men universe, but I figured it would just be, oh, it's the Fox X-Men again. But then her mom is there. And I was like, oh my god. Are they on the Illuminati Earth again? What is happening? And then in walks the Beast. You hear Kelsey Grammer's bread and butter, just silky smooth voice from off screen. And in walks comic accurate Beast. If he had said, oh my stars and garters, you're awake, I would have lost my goddamn mind in the theater. Just incredible. He looked amazing. Great design. Great work, whoever did the concept and the animation and the design for the Beast. Top-notch work. And there are rumors that Hugh Jackman... we see it in the distance when reality is tearing itself apart, which is just a cool design, though. I love the hexagons falling in on themselves. That's cool. We see that Earth, and it's looking pretty close to the main MCU's Earth, just based comparatively, you know. And that Earth she gets trapped in, that reality that she gets trapped in, it more or less has a traditional X-Men vibe to it, I guess you could say. The hospital looks more or less like the hospital from the X-Mansion in the 2000 X-Men film. 2000 X99, whatever. In the original trilogy X-Men films, it looks more or less the same. Beast is obviously a lot cooler. Binary is there in her comic-accurate costume. But there have recently been rumors, God knows how true these are, that Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire will in some way be involved with Secret Wars. The title I see is, Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire's Wolverine and Spider-Man are going to lead Secret Wars. That means nothing. That doesn't involve anything based on either Secret Wars. I guess the original one, where it's two factions fighting themselves, but that's clearly not what Marvel's going for. But with that, with the fact that there are rumors that Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire are going to be coming back for Secret Wars, when the MCU and its multiverses collapse and begin colliding in on themselves. And the fact that the hospital in the X-Mansion that we see at the end of the Marvels looks so much like a sort of classic Hugh Jackman era X-Men. Does that mean that in that world that Monica went to, Tobey Maguire, a version of him, his Peter Parker, exists there? And the only way I can see it making sense to send a main character like Monica to this other reality as we're building up to Secret Wars is having that Earth be the equivalent of the Ultimate Universe, being the equivalent of Earth 1610, as it's known in the comics, which, if you'll remember from 2015, is the Earth, the final Earth of the multiverse that collided with the Prime Universe in Marvel Comics. Is that Earth we saw at the end of the Marvels the MCU's equivalent to Earth 1610. I don't see why it wouldn't be. Again, why would you send Monica Rambeau there? A character people know and like for the most part. A character people can recognize if they've watched the shows and now the movie and, have an attachment to throughout this film. Why would you just send her to some fucking one-off random world that's not going to have any importance later on? So, exactly. So, my thoughts exactly are, that is the Earth that is going to, in the culmination of Secret Wars and the incursions between worlds, it's going to be the one that collides with our MCU's world. And that's really cool. I love this setup. Secret Wars from Marvel 2015. It's my favorite Marvel event. So I am all here for everything they're setting up. I cannot wait to see how this plays out. And I'm hoping I'm right, because then I feel all smart. But that brings me to an end on this episode of the Comic Shtick Podcast. Check out all my links in the description below at the link tree. Follow me online at NotBlakeWild, primarily on Instagram. That's really the only social media I use. Also Blue Sky and that other one. What is it called? Threads. If you have a Threads or Blue Sky, follow me at NotBlakeWild on there as well. You can find all the links in my link tree. Check out my Patreon. Check out my Etsy. Check out whatever else I have going on. Check out my What Is videos if you haven't already. And, let me know what you thought of everything I discussed today. What did you think of the Marvels? Have you seen it? Are you not gonna see it? Did you hate it? Did you love it? I don't know. If you hated it, you could probably still find some interest in the fact that it is setting up Secret Wars, I feel. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts. What do you think of the Acme Warner Brothers thing? Movies getting delayed, whatever else I came up with, all my weird theories that happened throughout this episode. This was a rambling one. It's because I've had multiple energy drinks today, if you couldn't tell. What do you think of Compact Comics? But I will see you next time. Bye.